Good afternoon, Coach. Thanks for taking the time.
Appreciate it. Excited to be here.
Well,
First off, I just want to start off. I'm super excited to be a part of this organization, be a part of this coaching staff, to work with these players, the front office, all the scouts we've been working with. The players so far have been fantastic through the offseason program, and excited to work with you guys as well and get to know you through this process.
okay, let's get started with John McMullen and then Bo Wolf.
Hey Shane, nice to meet you.
You too.
Virtually, obviously.
Yeah.
Just kind of, can you talk to us about your offensive philosophy and particularly Jalen Hurts and when you look at the quarterback position, he does certain things well and how you would tailor your offense to what he does best.
Yeah, John, that's a good question. I think when you go into a new situation, new team, you got to find out about your players. You really do, and I think you go through that process through virtually. But then when you really get them on the grass, like we have been the last couple days, and see their movements and their skills, and see what these guys do well, you want to put them in position to make plays. And I think through time, through these next couple of weeks and into training camp, that offense is going to be molded, and we're going to tailor that to these players. And Jalen's done a nice job. Obviously, this last couple of days we've had him on the grass, but he's done a really nice job throughout this process, especially on the Zoom. He works at it. He does a lot of good things on the grass, like I said, and then obviously he brings a good skill set that you can do some multiple things with him. So we're excited about him.
Okay, Bo Wolf and then Rob Motti.
Hey Shane, nice to meet you.
You too.
Obviously, you have known Nick Sirianni for a long time. What were your first impressions of him when you first met him, and how have you seen him grow along the way?
Yeah, my first impression, I came back. I was in Cleveland, and then I came back to San Diego. I started in San Diego, I was in Cleveland, and then came back with him. And right off the bat, the first couple of days I was with him, you could just tell this guy loves football. Like, he's obsessed with football, and that really attracted me towards him. Because when we were in meetings, we started talking. It was like, oh yeah, this guy knows ball, and he's got a lot of passion for what he does. And to get a chance to come back and work with him again after a couple of years is very exciting. And to see what he's been as a head coach these last couple of months, he has definitely grown, and I think he's going to do a hell of a job for this organization and this team.
Rob Motti and then Mike K.
Hey, Shane. Lane Johnson spoke earlier about the screen game being a little bit more emphasized in the offensive system and the play action setting up the pass. How important are both of those principles in your offense?
Yeah, I think they're important. They're definitely important. I mean, anytime you can get the ball to the quarterback's hands quickly and create explosive plays in the screen game, that's big. And then obviously the play action game is big too. And I think when you go into games, things are going to be different week in and week out. It's your opponent, who you're playing. What do they do on defense? What are the coverage techniques? What's the fronts they're playing? So your scheme each week can be multiple by who you're playing.
Mike K and then Jeff McClain.
Hey, Shane. Wanted to ask you, how much of a learning lesson was last year for you getting that offensive coordinator job for the first time? And what maybe would you kind of change about your approach this year as opposed to when you came in last year?
Yeah, last year was great. Obviously, the first time doing it. You're a position coach for a while, and then the year before I did it for the last 8 games, and then took over full time last year. But it was a really good experience. I think you learn a lot. I mean, it's different. It's a different deal, but you got to be on it day in and day out, because there's a lot. You got to you have the team now. You're not just one position. Everybody else is involved in it. You got a staff. You got to deal with a lot, and I think if you can handle that the right way with the right people and be a good person within that, and you're building that scheme with those guys, and then you make it a group effort, because it's not just one guy. It takes everybody to do it, and everyone's got to be on the same page, and you got to have a detailed plan day in and day out, and a great structure for what you want to get accomplished throughout the week, and then going into Sundays.
Okay, Jeff McClain and then Dave Zangaro.
Shane, your background is almost specifically quarterbacks, more so than Nick. So I'm not sure if that means that you'll spend more time with Jalen and the other quarterbacks. But what is your philosophy in how you handle the quarterbacks in terms of their demeanor and personality? Are you hard on them? Do you love them up? What is your approach?
I think you got to be honest with them. You got to be honest with them, but also you got to love them up when they do well, and then you got to correct them when they don't do it well. Obviously, playing the position as well. I've been there, so they got to be who they are. You can't change who they are personality-wise. These guys are who they are, and you got to adapt to that. And then you can teach them and grow with them in their personalities. But I think you got to let them be who they are, and then let them go play.
Dave Zangaro and then Martin Frank.
Hi, Shane. Nice to meet you.
You too.
In terms of offensive philosophy, what are some similarities you share with Nick Sirianni, and what are some differences in terms of building this offense?
Yeah, I think we were in the same system terminology-wise, obviously, for a while, and then he went to Indy, and the terminology has been very similar. There's tweaks here and there because it's been a few years, but philosophy-wise, I mean, we see the games very similar. I mean, we have little tidbits here that I've learned the last couple of years and that he's done the last couple of years, and then right now we're just meshing all that together, and we're going to make it the best possible to put our players in position, like I said.
Martin Frank and then Chris Murray.
Hey, Shane, nice meeting you.
Too.
I wanted to ask, when we were talking to Miles earlier, he said, the screen game is a pretty big part of your offensive philosophy. And I was just kind of wondering what you see from Miles in that regard, from looking at film, and also, adding guys like Carry-On and Kenny Gainwell, like, your philosophy on the running back room in general. Thanks.
Yeah, it's a really good room. Excited about that whole all those guys, that group. Our running back coach Jamal has done a heck of a job with those guys so far. So really excited, like I said, to get them on the grass like we're doing right now. And we've seen their skill sets on film, but to see it in person, and then let them compete, because everyone's competing. Coach preaches competition. We're all about competition here. So all those guys are going to get reps, and we're going to use them, like I said, to their best of their abilities, week in and week out, and put them in position to make plays.
Chris Murray and then Zach Berman.
First of all, Coach, welcome to Philadelphia. My question for you is that you had a chance to see people on film. What are your thoughts of watching Jalen Hurts in the 4 games that he played in the late season last year?
Yeah, he did a nice job. I know he only played 4 games, but he did some good things, made some plays out of the pocket, some big scramble plays, used his feet. He's an athletic guy that can make plays. So we're looking forward to working with him.
Zach and then Ed Kratz.
Hey, Shane, nice to meet you. If you think back to your time at UNLV, at what point did you realize that you weren't going to be a player and you would go into coaching? And what was the key for you in working your way up the coaching ladder?
I always kind of wanted to coach. I was around a lot of good coaches growing up. My high school coach was awesome, understood football, scheming it, all that stuff. And then when I got into college, again, I had a couple different coordinators, but all of them loved football, and learned a ton from those guys. And I think it was probably more about my freshman year, sophomore year. I wasn't very good at times, so I figured I'm probably not going to the NFL, so let's get the coaching hat on and start rolling. So I really enjoyed the scheme part of it, being in meetings and doing all that. That was terrific. And then right from there, when I graduated, I went into a graduate assistant role there at UNLV, and then went on to Louisville, and then got in the NFL.
Ed Kratz and then Brandon Lee Gouton.
Hey, Shane, nice to meet you. A lot of the Eagles' struggles last year, I think, had to do with the offensive line and the injuries, but you're getting, these guys back. It's a veteran line. I'm sure you've seen them from afar. What's your take on this line, and even the young guys who got some time last year, having watched them on tape now? What's your view on that?
These guys up front, I'll tell you what now, when I got here and I started watching tape of these guys, and I was watching the skill guys at times, but my eyes would go to the offensive line. I mean, Jason Kelsey, these guys, Lane and all these guys, these guys are freaking awesome football players. We're excited about this group. Jeff Statlin and Roy Cisno, they do a hell of a job with those guys. We're super excited about this offensive line, getting these guys back in, and even just being out there with them, just watching these guys communicate. You can see how tight they are and how well they've worked together over the last friggin' whatever it's been, 8-10 years together. These guys, this is a good group. This is one of the best in the NFL, no doubt about it.
Okay, Brandon and then Chris Franklin.
Hey Shane, the Chargers were ninth in first down run frequency last season. Can we expect an emphasis on running the ball a lot early here in Philly? And then what do you like about this running back room as well?
Yeah, I think by game plan, you go into games and you adjust and adapt to what defenses are giving you. So some games you go into it saying this is a philosophy we're going to use this week, and other times you veer off from that and do different things. And then that's pretty much it.
Okay, I see two more hands here, so we'll go Chris Franklin, then EJ Smith.
Hey Shane, you have a lot of young wide receivers in this room now, and some of them are going to their second year. How do you guys make sure you try to make the offense digestible and make sure they have success in this upcoming season?
Yeah, I think that's us on coaches. We got to develop these guys week in and week out. And Aaron Moorhead so far has done a heck of a job with these wide receivers. So we're looking forward to working with the young guys and getting them reps and getting them involved in the new system and really honing in on the details and the fundamentals and the technique of the position to make them successful. And I think if we can do that with them, they're going to become good players.
Okay, we'll end it here with EJ.
Hey, Shane, kind of piggybacking off of that, I wanted to ask you about Jalen Reagor and Devontae Smith. What did you see from Jalen last year? And as far as Devontae in the pre-draft process, what did you like about him?
Yeah, Jalen Reagor is an explosive football player. Obviously, he showed up on film, had some big punt returns, had some big catches, but his explosiveness and his ability to catch and get yak, it's awesome. So super excited to work with him. He's going to be a good player. And then I think Devontae, when you watch Devontae coming out, I mean, this guy, his first step off the line of scrimmage and his smoothness coming in and out of breaks, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, the guy had 3 games, I want to say, over 200 yards receiving. And the touchdowns, I want to say, was over the 20s. I mean, he won the Heisman for a reason. This guy is a talented football player that we look forward to working with.
Okay, thanks, Coach. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Nice meeting you guys. Pleasure. Look forward to seeing you again.